Namaskaram, namaskar. May we start?
We were thinking you gave examples yesterday of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and also Albert Einstein as people who use their intellect and not necessarily the knowledge, which was the reason because of which they could see through what others didn't.
Right.
So, sir, if you could share with us that in the present kind of academic setup,
Yes.
is there a hope for the academicians to pursue that inculcation of the intellect, sir?
Right, right. While you see, it's like this. Academics, in the sense of only academics for passing exams or getting PhDs, is one academics. I think the real meaning of academics is to understand the subject. You see, these have been kept so that people know in the outside world that you know about things. Suppose you have a PhD in physics, which means the outside world knows that this man is knowledgeable in physics, right? So that's a token. But I think real academics is to understand the subject thoroughly, not merely work for a PhD. While it is essential, I understand that it is essential. So I think even in academics, if you want to be excellent and not go just on the beaten path, hundreds and thousands of people are academicians. But out of that, how many come out originally, finding something really original? Only those who, apart from being academically experts, apart from having knowledge and information about things, have the sharp, penetrating, one-pointed mind to understand and go beyond. Now, this is the meaning of intelligence. It is applicable also to the present world of academics. I think if you apply it, even the quality of your academics will improve. Because then you don't get stuck on mere words and statements and formulas. You go beyond, right? See, what you have today in formulas was discovered by somebody and then made into a formula. And for that discovery, I think intelligence is essential, very essential. Now, I want to take you to one of the principal Upanishads, Mundaka Upanishad. A rishi approaches a great teacher and asks him, "Sir, tell me about knowledge." That's our subject, right? Intelligence, knowledge. Tell me about knowledge. The response is, there are two kinds of knowledge. So, what are the two kinds of knowledge? The response is, there is the higher knowledge and there is the lower knowledge. They, in Sanskrit, Paravidya and Aparavidya. Okay. So, the student asks the teacher, "Can you give me a list of lower knowledge and higher knowledge? Because if you give me a picture of lower knowledge, then I can distinguish between that and higher knowledge. So first give me a list of aparavidya, not paravidya, aparavidya. Higher knowledge. Sorry, lower knowledge." Now you will be surprised. The list starts like this. Lower knowledge. Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvana Veda, Vedangas, Jyotisha, mathematics, everything is included in the lower knowledge. So this man is astonished. He's thinking, I was studying all this thinking this is higher knowledge. you are saying that this is lower knowledge, then what is higher knowledge? So the teacher says, higher knowledge is that which leads you to the truth. Which does not mean, please, you asked me about academics, that's why I'm saying, which does not mean that you should not study the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvanaveda. It contains a lot of material, lot of academics, lots of understanding. It contains. But even if that does not lead you to the truth, according to Upanishad, then it is still lower knowledge. That is the meaning of this. Not that you should not learn, you should study, you should learn academically, you should try to advance as much as possible. But remember that academics is not the be-all and end-all of knowledge. Knowledge is to be able to discover what we are studying today in academics is what somebody discovered originally once upon a time. Now, to do that, we are saying that the mind should be open, free. There are parts of the mind which have not been explored. Why they have not been explored is because it is normally nobody even thinks about this. Now the great scriptures, the great textbooks in India, especially on yoga, Upanishads like what I quoted just now, give you a kind of what you call a Google map today in technological terms to figure out where to touch that intelligence. Now let me say this. Some people are privileged to receive the Gayatri in their youth. Right. So then they chant the Gayatri regularly. What does the Gayatri mantra, what is the essence of the Gayatri? What are we asking for by chanting the Gayatri mantra? I don't want to go into the entire Gayatri mantra, then one satsang will be over. I just want to see the essence of it is. It starts with Om Bhur Swaha, which of course is interesting because it is knowledge not only of the waking state, but also of the dream state and deep sleep and beyond. The three realms, Bhur, Bhuva, Swa, Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Swarga. There are many explanations and interpretations. I don't want to go into that, it's big. So, Om is used because it's the pranava, the first sound used when you start any chanting, any learning. And then it says, Tat Savitar Varenyam, that Savitar, controller of the universe, that energy that is the essence of the universe. Varenyam, I bow down to, I worship. Bhargo Devasya, that effulgent light, that effulgent divinity. Bhargo Devasya, Dhimahi, I meditate upon. Then what is the last sentence? That is the intention of the mantra. Diyo yona prachodayat, may my intelligence be stimulated. So, all I'm trying to say, that intelligence has to play a great role even in the attainment of academic excellence. How will a person with a dull intellect attain even academic excellence? Tell me. And we are saying that we have ancient texts, especially practical texts on yoga, etc., which teach us, and the mantra shastras, that teach you how to sharpen and make your intelligence very subtle. Only the most intelligent person with the subtlest intellect can understand some of the things which are even in this world. And when you understand that, and then you make a formula for others to understand, then it becomes academics. Now in the original, how do you discover it? Now you know the laws of physics. You know this, that once upon a time we depended on Newton's laws of physics. We have marched forward quite a bit now. Newton's laws of gravity and other things have been overtaken by something called quantum physics now. While Newton's physics is useful for us in practical purposes. Everybody knows every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? This is how the whole jet plane principle functions. What goes out is pushed in front. Right? And so on and so forth. We all have to obey the laws of gravity according to Newton. Okay, understood. However, when you go advance into physics, even physics, you come to quantum physics, where you're looking at the tiniest bricks that go to make nature. Tiniest. Which actually I am sure you are aware as technology students and IIT students that no atom even can be seen through a microscope, however powerful a microscope is. You can have an electron microscope, which is the most powerful microscope we have, but you cannot see an atom or forget electron. You can't see an atom. You can't see any quantum things. I'm deliberately not saying quantum particles, quantum things. Now, you know that. Now, how do you know that they exist? Only through their reactions in a particular field. A field is created, and according to the reaction, you judge what is electron, where is proton, and so on and so forth. Now, Newton's physics seems to be a very definite physics. Everything is set properly. 1 + 1 is equal to 2. You go to quantum physics, which is the smallest, tiniest source of all that exists around us in Prakriti. You come across uncertainty, doubt, not knowing. All your ideas of definite knowledge disappears. Simple. The most important law today of quantum physics is the law of uncertainty. While we started all our studies with certainty, you ended up in uncertainty. I mean, what does that mean? It means that actually nobody knows whether a quantum thing, I'm calling it a thing, is a particle or a wave. Nobody knows. You might, through observing through a reactor, think that it is a particle. The moment you're thinking, it is again changed to wave-like movements, qualities, attributes. And you think it's a wave, you're watching, observing. It suddenly changes into behavior like a particle. So is it a particle or is it a wave? Nobody knows. In fact, some scientists have, like David Bohm, for instance, have gone to the extent of saying that it depends on the observer. Not fully accepted yet, of course. So what I'm trying to say here, and what we have been trying to say maybe for 1,000 years in all these great texts that we have with us, is that intelligence starts first with questioning, which is why all the Upanishads are dialogues. It also starts without preconceived ideas. You know, the hymn of creation, which comes from the oldest of the Vedas, Rig Veda, ends saying that in the beginning what was, perhaps he knows who is the controller, or perhaps he knows not. So all that certainty is cut off. Why? When you are certain, your certainty depends upon certain factors which are known to us. But when you study a thing, study with the understanding that there are many unknown factors. Unknown factors. If you study that way, that means you need intelligence for that. Not just knowledge, acquired information. You have to break through that information shell to be able to touch pure intelligence, which can penetrate through all definitions, all preconceived ideas. Look, there was a time when everybody said most people said that the earth is flat and that the sun is revolving around it. Right? Now, if everybody believed it totally and nobody investigated, it would have remained the same. It would have been put into academics. And anybody with a PhD would think that it is like that. Somebody did a bit of research and figured out it's not so. And the heliocentric system was discovered, I don't know, by Copernicus or somebody, whatever, doesn't matter. There the sun is the center heliocentric system and the planets are going around. Discovered. Galileo discovered that the earth is not flat but is round. For which because he was saying something which opposed to the religion of those days, was considered a heresy. He was excommunicated, Galileo, because he said the earth is not flat, it is round. So if you go back and look at all the original discoveries that have been made, they've all been based on people who say, look, we are not satisfied with mere academics. We are not satisfied with mere carrying home a PhD and getting a job. We want to look into the actual essence of things. When that happens, new discoveries come. Of course, they go into academics afterwards. It's available to you to read through academics. I'm not saying there's anything wrong. Please understand this. Academics is very, very important. Why? Because they're a gathering of all the knowledge and information discovered by somebody. I'm saying, is it enough just to know that, or should we also look into something? Maybe there are new discoveries to come, new things to be found. There you require a really penetrating intelligence. Dio yona prachodayat is the prayer, may my intelligence be stimulated. Right? Okay. I want to tell you a story from the Upanishad. Again, Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad, a rishi's son is questioned by the rishi, his father, asking him, you went to study the truth, have you studied it? He said, yes. He said, I think I have. The rishi says, if you have studied it, you know. Or you don't know. You can't be this way, that way. They're not the same words used. I'm just... So he says, okay. He shows him a banyan tree a little away. He says, go to the banyan tree. Now, this is very interesting. Today, even knowledge, information has become totally on the screen. A leaf is shown on the screen and people say, this is a leaf. Really, is it a leaf until you pick up a real leaf and see it? In the forest academies of those days, when people studied leaf, they actually picked up the leaf and studied it, not see a picture of a leaf. There's a lot of difference between a picture and the real thing, right? All I'm saying is academics should not go to that state where everything becomes framed in pictures and figures. There should be space to explore, discover. Okay, so this story. So this boy goes to the banyan tree. It says, pick up a seed. So he picks up a seed. If you read the Chandogya Upanishad, you'll find this story. Picks up the seed. He opens the seed. He says, open the seed. So he opens the rind, the cover. He says, what do you see? He says, I see the kernel, Kernel, kernel inside. Okay. He said, open that. Opened. What do you see? I see little black seeds inside. Okay. He says, take one of those seeds and open it. Opens it. The father says, what do you see? He says, I see nothing. So the rishi tells his son, it is from that nothing that this whole banyan tree has come. So is it really nothing? Or is it something which appears to be nothing to us because it's not seen by our sense organs? Now, this is what I mean by intelligence. Of course, we need institutions, we need academics, we need knowledge, we need information, understood. But if we need to move forward and advance further, then you need intelligence, untrammeled intelligence, which doesn't agree always with established norms and facts. Maybe the experiment was not done properly, so that's why you have these facts. Maybe new experiments will show something new. This is what I mean by intelligence. It is not arguing for everything. That's not what I'm talking about. Argument is different. Argument means that I have decided that something is correct, and you have decided that something else is correct. And we are trying, it will never meet. A dialogue is different. It's called a samvad. In samvad, there is a vad, means between two people. There is a sama, that means both are equal in that way. So here, what I mean by intelligence is not to memorize and say this is the right thing, but to be able to sit, you and I, together on a bench in the park and say, here is a problem. Let us together look into it. This is a dialogue. This is not an argument. This is a dialogue. I and you are sitting together on a beautiful evening in the garden, on the lawn, on a bench, and trying to look at a problem and solve it. This requires intelligence. No amount of previous knowledge is going to help here. You need to look at it fresh, new, as if you are looking at something completely new. Now, please remember that all great discoveries are based on this. After they have become discoveries, after they have been discovered, then they are put into formulas and you have academics. Important. Because, look, before you understand something as it is now, how are you going to understand it in its deeper aspects? How? So this is required. I'll give you an example of a classical dancer. She goes through a lot of this is academic disciplines, studies, memorizing, knowledge, all. She goes through a complete system of knowledge and practice by which she becomes an expert in classical dance, let us say. Okay. Or in any classical dance. Birju Maharaj, Kathak, Bharatanatyam. You look at all the or in Western classical dance, ballet. Lot of effort, lot of system is required. I agree. After you have understood it, then you innovate, right? Simply if I go and I don't know anything about dance, what will I innovate from? So the basic requirement is academics. The basic requirement is knowledge. The basic requirement is information. Don't stop there. That is what I mean. All this can be processed by the frontal lobe. We are saying that there are many unexplored parts of the mind. You can call it brain if you want. Which if you learn to explore, you will see greater dimensions of knowledge, which will become the academics for the future after it is discovered. Now, for that discovery, you need intelligence. This is what I'm trying to say. And that intelligence it comes about when you realize that you don't know everything. If I say this is the end of knowledge, nothing more to be studied, it's over. my brain will refuse to move forward. So, this potential is what we are trying to explore. This is what I mean by intelligence. And the ancient Shastras, the yogic teachings say that a mind becomes extremely intelligent when it learns to be still. Stillness. When I say stillness, meaning a state of mind where there are no distractions. Suppose even in ordinary things, I sit down to study. I am distracted by 100 things. How will my intelligence work? A yogi is one who in the middle of Kurukshetra is able to fix his attention one pointedly on something. This is a yogi. So this is a training. It's a practice by which you learn how to clear the mind and make it absolutely calm without any roughness. When you do that, you will realize that the potential of your intelligence is much, much greater than what you thought it was before. And you are able to look at things which you found it difficult to understand in the beginning. So my advice is for all academicians, there should be a course of mind development. Academic is necessary. There should be a course of mind development, a course where the mind, one learns how to explore the mind, how to make it calm and quiet so that it becomes a tarmac from which you take off to higher levels of intelligence. This is essential because when that happens, the input to your so-called body of knowledge called academics becomes bigger and better. That's all I'm saying. There is no argument that academics should not be there. No. All that is required. But don't be satisfied with just that. Move forward. This is what I meant by intelligence. Yes. Anything else you want to say on this matter?
I think my query is answered. So thank you so much. I think the suggestion you're giving to academic setups is that while we do teach to students the so far understanding we have developed about our existence, we need to also prepare students to be able to look forward.
If they are interested. If somebody is okay with this, that's fine. But if people are interested and say, look, I need to move forward, this is not enough. I've learned your technology, for instance. How does technology come about? A practical application of pure science is technology. Now, if you want to do that, you need pure science, right? So I would say academics, acquiring knowledge, information, I put it aside as technology. Okay? The discovery, original discovery, intelligence. I'm just trying to make you clear about what I'm trying to say. And it has nothing to do. Yesterday, the young man asked me, so everybody will become yogi? No. I'm not saying everybody should become yogis, everybody should become, no. I'm saying that this is available to everybody. Everyone can use it. But you need to have a mind training also along with your academic training. This is all I'm trying to say. It will help you to advance in your academics through finding new things, discovering new things, opening your mind, because there are vast potentials to be explored in this matter. So, like the dancer who innovates, and when the dancer innovates, people say, wonderful. But if the dancer doesn't know even the basics of dance, what will she innovate or what will he innovate? Nothing can be innovated. So this is essential. The structure is essential. I'm only saying, at times, break free of the structure. At times, break free of the structure. Without that, you will not go to the original. Like, I don't know much about like strength of materials, for instance, like steel or some other thing, how strong they are. I don't know, that's technology, the strength of materials. I don't know much about that. I'm saying if there is a standard given that some materials are only strong up to this point, some degree, and some, I'm saying if you have a keen mind, you would say, is there something more than that? Not be satisfied with what is already given to you in academic formulas. Can we open up and check further up? This is all I'm trying to say. So, anything else you want to discuss on this matter?
A couple of students have questions. Can I invite them to ask?
Please, I'm here for that.
Yes, so sir, can you hear me now clearly?
Tell me,
Yeah.
I can hear you, but can you tell me slowly so I understand what you're saying?
So this idea that the mind, like that we can reach the inner depths of the mind when it becomes completely still. So who was the first one to discover this?
According to my understanding, it is already exists in the Upanishads, which are 2000 years old. At a very conservative estimate. Maybe it was there also among the Greek philosophers. I haven't studied much about that, but I think there might have been. And in the Jewish scriptures and the Jewish Kabbalah, for instance, which is their mystical literature, probably it is mentioned. I'm not very clear, but in Upanishads, I know that 2000 years ago, they were already thinking about this. Okay. Now, the person who actually formulated it and put it into a certain, what you might call academic framework, was Patanjali. Patanjali, the founder of Yoga Darshana, the science of yoga, he was the first person to have made it into a formula so that others can understand. Upanishad, it is scattered. He made it into a formula, like a real academician. He said, defining yoga, he said, yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the removing of all the distractions of the mind. This is the definition he gives. After saying Atha Yoga Anushasana, here is the study of yoga. Then he says, yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the removal of all distractions and all fluctuations of the mind. I think he was the first person to put it in a formula shape. But if you go into the Upanishads and look, even 1,500, 2,000 years ago, you'll find the basis of this thought.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. I'm glad people are asking these questions, actually. There is some hope. Especially young people.
Greetings, Shriyam. Sir, actually, I wanted to ask that why, yes, sir. Sir, why does mind has this apparent need for certainty when you are explaining that intelligence is something like addressing the uncertainty or confronting it? So, why does mind inherently tends to, find out certainty in some ways, sir?
True, I agree. See, it's like this. It is the nature of the mind to be secure. The mind likes to be secure. And for security, you need certainty, right? If you are uncertain, the mind is not secure. Which is why, suppose you want to go into a deep study of any subject. First, your security has to be assured that you will get your food, you will get a place to sit, you have clothes to wear, you're free of the vagaries of nature. All the security is required. If that is uncertain, you will not be able to study anything. So the mind tends to want certainty. It is the nature of the mind to want certainty. It doesn't like to stay with uncertainty. If you ask me why, there is no answer, because it is the nature of the mind. Like if you ask me why nature abhors a vacuum, there is no answer to this. Nature is like that. You try to make a vacuum, air tries to rush in. In the same way, if the mind is uncertain, it tries to acquire some certainty. So all our pursuit of knowledge totally is moving from uncertainty to certainty. Why does one ask questions? Because one wants to be sure that the answer is there. So this movement from uncertainty to certainty cannot happen if the mind is not uncertain by its nature. Right? Now, great rishis have said that while they search for this certainty, they have come upon an essence. When it is touched, then there is absolute universal certainty. Till then, whatever knowledge you have, there is still uncertainty because the mind is incomplete. It tries to complete itself. Uncertainty can also be called incompleteness. So, while the Upanishad declares Purnamada Purnamidam, that is complete, this is complete, we know only that this is not incomplete, that this is incomplete, not complete, our life. So, the movement of the mind from uncertainty to certainty is the essence of evolution. If the mind did not have that nature, there would have been no evolution actually. And when the mind is absolutely silent, then what happens? There is no question of certainty or uncertainty there, because the mind itself has quietened down. This is the meaning of Chitta Vritti Nirodha.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Most welcome, sir.
Sir, there is one question in the chat, and if I could ask that.
Please, please.
Sir, you shared about the need for development of the mind in the academic framework so that the individuals are prepared to explore further. So can you guide us on what kind of a pedagogical tools or what kind of a curricular material, if there is anything in the ancient text that can be used about parts of the brain, some literature that we can use for this purpose?
Yes, I would suggest those Upanishads first, which deal with dialogue. One I would mention is the Katha Upanishad, where there is a beautiful dialogue. Whether it is imaginary or real, we cannot say, but there is a beautiful dialogue. It's a mode of trying to give knowledge, right? Which sometimes you learn through plays, dramas, cinemas, like that. Let's think of it that way at the moment. Though I think that actually there might have been something like that. So in Kathopanishad, there is this young boy called Nachiketas. You must understand the meaning of the word Nachiketas. Na-chiketa, one who does not know. This boy, young boy, who's still not become crystallized. His brain has not become crystallized, right? It's still moving, palpable. And he knows that he does not know. He's na-chiketa. Now, this boy meets the Lord of Death face to face. And there is a dialogue between the two. Interesting dialogue. So one of the texts that I would prescribe, it will also, you can also read it like a story, it's enjoyable, is the Kathopanishad. Okay. The other, it's a little bit abstract, and in the beginning you might feel that it's boring, but it's good too. How many times have you looked into some academic parts and think this is boring out? So don't worry too much about that. It is the Kena Upanishad. Why I'm saying Kena Upanishad? Because it asks the original question. Who? WHO, who? In fact, the word Keno in Sanskrit means who. Kena Upanishad is also one of the ancient Upanishads, principal Upanishads, which comes from the Sama Veda, very important Veda, which deals with music also. In the Gita, Krishna declares that among the Vedas, I am the Sama Veda. Vedanam Sama Vedosmi. It says, I am the way, Samaveda. So the Kenopanishad comes from the Samaveda. And it starts with an inquiry. This is why it is such an important Upanishad. Kene shitam patati prasitam manaha. What is it that gives the first impulse to the mind? This is the question. Now this, who is giving the first impulse to the mind? Who is the thinker? Who is the experiencer? The eternal question that we have had, even today. Even the so-called identity crisis is a spin-off from this. I don't know who I am, really. Right? So that is another thing which can be introduced in simple. Now, if you can't find a simple translation, because unfortunately many people cannot read the original, I'm not selling my books, but I have talked on these Upanishads and you can get translation. Wisdom of the Rishis is available to you. So, Kathopanishad, Kenopanishad. Then read the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali carefully, very carefully. Now it is not if you are interested only in the practice, sadhana pada, very easy to read. But please remember there is Samadhi pada, there is Vibhuti pada, there is Kaivalya pada, and in between comes sadhana, practice. So academically, first you should understand the whole thing from the beginning to end. It will take time. It's almost like trying to read Heisenberg. People get bored very fast. What is going on about? So these are the suggestions I have. I think they should be introduced in the academic curriculum. There is a good news. There is a lady from Russia who teaches advanced mathematics in George Washington University in Seattle. She heads the mathematics department. She has now introduced the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali as a study in their curriculum. Can you beat this? Why can't we do this somewhere? Even it need not be compulsory. Make it optional. Those who are interested can read it, try to understand it. And you need any help in this matter, I'm there. We had a complete session before on yoga, if you remember, right? You wanted it, I didn't want it. You wanted it, and we did it. So these are my suggestions.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we do have a small research group at IIT Delhi now slowly forming up, which wants to study about the yoga and its impact.
Nice.
So what are the ways, what are the kind of parameters we should look at of how these yogic practices, not just asana, but the yogic practices in complete, would start influencing the human being at, all the 5 sheets, and how can we go? Because the instruments will take some more time before they become sophisticated enough to study. So what can we do? Yes, sir.
So it should start with a small group of people doing 2 things. One is studying the texts academically, especially texts like the Yoga Pradipika. Some people call it Hatha Yoga Pradipika. I am not very happy with that. Yoga Pradip. There is no such difference like Hatha Yoga, this, that. All yoga is yoga, right? So Yoga Pradipika is an old text written by Atma Rama. It must be around 200 years old, maybe. Now, a study of that text. So first have a group of people sitting down and studying it. Questions will arise from that. Discussion should be made on that, initiated on that. And then gradually you will begin to learn and understand what is there. 1. Second, the same group should also start practicing, because it is very important. In yoga is not just theory. It is practice. So start with simple meditation techniques, very simple techniques. Like, for instance, the Buddhist Vipassana. In yogic science also, there is a training which is similar to vipassana, which in Kriya Yoga we call the Hamsa, which means to sit down quietly and give attention to the breath. You know, the mind can be brought to its subtlest level by giving attention to the breath. And it is a subtle mind that becomes an intelligent mind. So, give complete attention to your breath, in breathing and out breathing. This should be done as a practice. The other is a study. To practice after studying for a while, for an hour or so, discussing and so on, have a session of practical training where people sit down and meditate. This is important. When I say meditate, start with just watching the breath, so that it is non-denominational. Nobody need to worry, am I going to some religion, this, that, nothing. You're just watching your breath is your most intimate thing, right? What else is there more than breath? If it stops, you're dead. So give importance to that breath. Watch it carefully. And as you breathe in and out, I think I discussed that in a previous Hamsa. Chant the sound of hum when you go in your mind. Think that in breath is hum and out breath is saw. Think, not chant. If you do that for 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day, and then after, see, I'm telling you like an academic exercise. After 30 days, ask the practitioners, is there a difference? Is there a difference in your attention? Is there a difference in your mind state? Are you able to put your attention on something better? So, since we are in this scientific and technology world, I think we should go about it in a step-by-step systematic way. There is no other way. Now, you may also keep records of this through videos, so that tomorrow you can run them and check what is happening. All the discussions must be recorded and discussed. I think if this comes to all academic institutions as part of at least an optional subject, then we are moving somewhere. Otherwise, now I'm talking to you. After I finish, it is ended, finished. If you initiate something like this, then it becomes a continuous chain. Somebody was telling me end of April, they are getting a lot of youngsters to come together in Kerala, Trivandrum, college students, medical graduates, to discuss these matters. I said, that is a wonderful, I don't know if I have time or date, but so this is something which we should start. I think it is more important than ordinary just academics. It is even more important than studying political theory and things like that. Because it's the mind that produces the rest. Mind science, according to me, is very important. Very, very important.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It's almost 5:50. We have some more time.
If there is anybody who...
I mean, I could just so I know it's a little bit off from what we're saying, but trying to understand how these things. So it's going back to intelligence, but in the context of the mind and not the physical brain as such. So if I may be it's my perception. I may be not completely right or correct. So yeah. So I was. So it's as if so we know that we finally, like you said, that you look at the seed and that seed is nothing, and so this nothingness is actually the background on which we have the consciousness, the entire consciousness is actually all pervading, right? Is something like that, and therefore that would what I think is that when that projects through our brain, then that's what gives us our intelligence, because that's what we see as we perceive on the outside world. So if that is true, then the whole conception of trying to get to the high level of intelligence would be that you have to come to a level where the mind, not the mind, but the projected consciousness is actually always mediating through, and the mind is in front always. Is doing the worldly things, but
I would
yeah.
I would change the structure of your sentence a bit and say that ultimately we should be looking at that which appears empty to us. It is not emptiness, but it appears empty to us because we have a different idea of fullness. When I say fullness, I mean to acquire a desire. This is what I mean. But when the mind is absolutely calm and quiet in its natural emptiness, in its shunyata, let's say, the Buddhists call it actually shunyata, in its complete emptiness, while the outside work is going on, as you said, while we need to live in this world, we have to do many things, all this is there, but we should know that rooted in the essence, it is emptiness, complete quiet. The Vedantin would say that emptiness is completeness. Now there is this little argument going on for ages between the Buddhists and the Vedantists, saying, why do you call it shunyata? It is purnata, fullness. Now, nowhere does the Buddhist call it shunyata as emptiness. What he means is, it is empty of all the ideas that we have, the limited brain has. That's what they're trying to say. You're right that way. I understand what you're trying to say. So, even for that framework, we need to not just intellectually analyze it, but we need to also develop some kind of practice by which the mind learns this factor. That it should, at some point at least, for a few minutes at least in the beginning, go into that quietness. Instead of emptiness, I would say quietness. When I say quietness, which means there are no fluctuating thoughts, there are no intruding thoughts. And if you go into that, it doesn't mean that your mind is going to get paralyzed. When you come out of it, it will be better, well-equipped and more organized than before. My experience.
Yeah, because I mean, because those of us who have been practicing, I think we do feel that at some point there's a difference.
Certainly.
Yes, sensation that you get. And somehow we have not yet come to the point, like Jyoti was saying, that we don't have the sensors that we can actually look at the difference. So if I were to look at the EEG of the brain, then the EEG has already changed.
Shall we start with that? Shall we start measuring the EEG after silent spells of meditation? Can we do that?
Jyoti can do it.
No,
I'm saying Jyoti has a lab.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that let us now make it a quiet and academic kind of scientific study. Let's not just stay with the theories. When somebody is meditating, can we measure the EEG and see if there is a difference between a non-meditating person and a meditator? Also, in different depths of meditation, is there a difference? Are there different kinds of waves emerging more than the others? Now, if you can put that in, then what you're actually doing here, effectively, is bringing that which cannot be fitted into academics. In some way, you cannot bring that silence into an instrument. I agree with this. However, you have ways and means to see if the brain is registering it. And in that case, how creative does the mind become after this? Believe me, you will figure out that the mind becomes extremely creative. Somewhere there is a misunderstanding between creativity and surplus activity. It's not so. Creativity.
I think Suruchi is here. I think she's doing some work. So maybe she can comment a little bit. No, I don't know.
So where is she? Hello,
sir.
Yes, Suruchi.
Starting to explore, sir. We are still thinking of scanning just the resting state of the brain after meditation, or take advanced meditators and look at them. There are a lot of studies,
Yes.
That
If you don't get meditators, take me to Delhi and put all those things on my head.
that would be wonderful, sir. There are a lot of hypotheses. So one hypothesis is that if you go into a state of deep meditational rest, you would be very deep sleep like. So you would have delta waves as well as high awareness. So maybe alpha as well along with it. So pure alpha and pure delta. So some hypothesis like that we have in mind, but we can't pull it off. So we need
Why? Why can't you pull it off? Any reason why you can't do it?
I don't think I can go into that kind of a deep state without mind
So
wandering.
get somebody who can, right?
Yeah.
Not me, I mean, get somebody who go, even Buddhist monks, go and explore, find out, can you come and sit with us in the lab? Can we check? You can tell them, we are not saying nirvana can be captured in the lab. This is not what we are trying to say. We just want to see the reaction, how the brain is working during this period. So I think you should start working on this. And don't think anybody will say that you're doing mumbo jumbo. That time is past now. People are understanding that this is also scientific.
Yes.
And one more thing. Anybody who has a facility for brain imaging, today you can see something, it's called, I don't know what it's called. On the screen you can see. What's it
fMRI.
called?
Yeah.
Huh?
Functional magnetic resonance imaging.
Yeah. So use that also sometimes and see what is going on in the mind that is meditating. So if you can find a series of findings from this kind of experiment, then nobody can fake meditation. You can make out the guy is pretending or really meditating because you can see it there, how different it is from the other. I think this is one, I am going to appeal to also Dr. Jyoti, that you get such people who are seriously interested in this. You have your colleagues, you have students, bring them together and try to start something like this. If you want, when I come in April, I will speak to people about this and try to make it kind of possible.
That will be a great help. Yeah. It's almost 6 now. There are only 2 minutes. Can I use the 2 minutes, sir?
Yes, please.
Sir. Sir, one challenge we face when we are doing these studies is the individual differences.
Right.
And as in books also you have said that, it's a long journey and some people would have done it earlier and so on. So this, in order for this whole body of knowledge to become widely practiced within academic setups, this one challenge of the differences at individual levels, and it emerges out. And many people say, I mean, as Krishna is also saying, Shraddhavan alabhate jnanam, so that Shraddha part, So how do we tackle this part in the academic setup?
Look, you cannot expect everybody to be the same or equal in this matter. You need to go with the differences. But the experiment should go on. However different the factors are, the experiment should go on. So you will find some people are able to do it faster, some people, it is normal, for like everything else. Not only here. Some people understand mathematical concepts easier than others. Some people understand literary aspects better than the others. So it all depends on the background and what you have acquired over the years. Not only this life, let's not discuss past life, but so there is something in us, all of us are original in some way. And all of us fall into a certain pattern also in some way. While there is a common pattern of human behavior, there are also uncommon factors operating in us. So we cannot equate everybody together. Knowing this, we should start our experiments. This is my suggestion. So till we meet next, either like this or actually, for the time being, the dialogue is not over. We're not terminating the dialogue. We're temporarily stopping it. Okay? Thank you very much. Namaskar. Om Shanti Shanti.